Hello everybody and welcome to another video of R&R Partners. Today we're going to talk about shelf companies in Romania. But first of all, what is a shelf company? A shelf company, as its name entails, is actually a type of company that you incorporate, so you set it up and later you put it on a shelf to rest, as to say. So, in other words, as opposed to a corporation that you usually set up and then you start working on it. You start issuing invoices, you start delivering products to your clients. A shelf company is not a company that is operating after its completion, but rather a company that you set up and you set aside for somebody else. So, shelf companies are usually done by consultants or lawyers that are specialized on such aspects. They set these companies up, and when a client or a prospect comes along and says, I want a company very quickly, I want it now, do you have something for me? They can take that company off the shelf and then give it to the client. Well, it's not really given as a gift, of course, it is done for a certain fee, and the company shares are usually assigned to the client, the person who wants to own that company for the future. So, what are the benefits of a shelf company? The first advantage is time and money. In many jurisdictions, it takes quite a long time to open a company, maybe weeks, even months, depending on the country. So, if you just take a company that is already existing off the shelf and assign it to the person who wants to operate such a company, everything is done very quickly and efficiently, of course. And again, depending on the jurisdiction, it might be a lesser fee for you to just take a company off the shelf than incorporate one from the very beginning. This is not really the case in Romania, and I'll explain it to you in a second. But let's continue with the general advantages of a shelf company. Another advantage that a shelf company offers to the person that buys it is that the shelf company already has a history, in the sense that it was not set up yesterday or 2 days ago. It has already stayed on a shelf for many months or maybe years in some cases. So, if you want to apply for a credit at the bank or in a public tender, or generally you want to show your clients that you have a bit more history behind you as a company, you have this little trick up your sleeve. You use a company that was put on the shelf, assign it to you, so you take the shares in your own name, and you say that your company has some sort of history behind it. Here we want to make a little note, we are not encouraging this type of practices just for the sake of having history in your company to use this shelf corporation, but this is a general advantage that people are using in the day-to-day lives. And last but not least, depending on the jurisdiction, there could be less papers to sign, less formalities when you have a company off the shelf than starting it from the very beginning. Lawyers or consultants are the ones who take care of the paperwork, but for you as an entrepreneur, I bet there is easier to just sign a couple of papers than tens and tens of papers, emailing back and forth, so a shelf company could be the easier choice. By the way, if you want to find out more about company incorporation in Romania, check out the video in our YouTube channel. I will link it somewhere here in a card. So, we talk about what is a shelf company in general and what are the advantages of shelf companies. But what can you use a shelf company for? The answer is pretty much everything that you want. In the jurisdictions where you can find such shelf companies, they can be used for stuff from selling products online to actually offering services to people in person. Pretty much everything you want, but after you take the company off the shelf, generally you should check what the requirements are for your specific business. Why is that? Because when a company is done for its shelf, to put it like this, then it doesn't have any specification, any specific authorizations. For example, if you are a dentist and you want to take a shelf company and use it for your own dentistry practice, you must take all the authorizations you need from your bodies, the ones that, the institutions that will regulate your profession in order to legally operate in your dental office. The same applies for hospitality, restaurants, hotels, whatever business you have that needs specific authorizations, you will need to get those and incorporate them in your company that was taken off the shelf. In other words, getting a shelf companies does not really eliminate all the bureaucracy that you need in order to operate legally in your business. And speaking of your business and the legal needs of your business, including contracts, authorizations, GDPR, and so much more, if you need any advice on Romanian business law, I will leave a link here so you can book a legal consultation with our law office. And now it is about time to talk about shelf companies in Romania specifically. The Romanian law is quite different than the legislation that you find in other countries, for example, the UK, the US, or other countries where you might find proper shelf companies. Why is that? Because in Romania, we do not really have the proper shelf companies that you will find by the book in other countries. After you set up a Romanian company, there is not an actual shelf where you can put it. The most you can do is open a company in your own name. So, for example, if you are a lawyer or a consultant, you open a company, put it on your name, and then you use a certain amount of time. We call this time suspendare. It's like a pause in your business. You submit documents saying that your business no longer operates and you want to put a hold on it. You will not do anything during this time like submit your taxes or other sort of papers to the public authorities. But this suspendare doesn't really work like a proper shelf in other jurisdictions. Of course, the basics of a shelf company are the same. You set it up quite quickly and then you suspend the activity until somebody wants to come along and buy your company. But it is quite different than a proper shelf. Why? Because you might have an actual history in that company that you do not know about. In Romania, there is no guarantee that the company you are actually buying did not have any contracts on it, because you cannot check those. You just rely on the good faith of the person who is selling you that business. Or it did not receive any fines from the tax authorities. Those are a bit easier to find, but still, there are risks, because just in any business that you want to buy, when, for example, somebody makes an exit, you do not have in Romania a proper shelf. You do not have a way to say, this company is untouched, I'm giving it to you. I will give you rather a company that was put in my name, I will give you the shares, but this is pretty much it. So, bottom line, because we do not have proper shelf companies in Romania, we do not recommend clients to resort to this kind of corporation when they come and open a business here. We saw many websites online that are offering this kind of services, shelf companies in Romania, but we are telling you now, according to our legislation, there is no such thing as a proper shelf company, but rather an assignment of shares from an older company, which comes with its specific risks involved. And what do you do when you buy an older company, not a shelf one? You need to do a due diligence process, which could take more time and be more expensive than actually setting up a Romanian company from the very beginning. Which takes me to the most important thing to know about Romanian companies. They are pretty fast and pretty straightforward at the incorporation process. We do not take months or weeks to incorporate a company in Romania. We call them limited liability companies, societate cu răspundere limitate, or SRLs. So when you find the SRL online, you know it is a limited liability company, which is done in a few days from the moment when the client sends up the documents that were signed. So what we like to tell our clients is that when you want to incorporate a company in Romania, it takes a couple of weeks, usually around 2 weeks in total, from the moment that they're actually starting the process, because we must draft some papers, send them back to them. From our experience, it takes a few days until the client reads the papers, sends them back in scanned and signed form. Then we set everything up online with the trade registry in Romania, and we have a new company that is safe. You do not need a due diligence process when buying an older company, and that is the way that we recommend in Romania. Speaking of Romanian companies, we will also link a video about the recent tax changes in Romania, because there were some changes at the beginning of the year, and there are things you should take into consideration when opening a limited liability company here. So this is about it about shelf companies in general, but also specifically in Romania. If you have any questions, everything that you still feel unclear from our video, please drop your questions down in the comments below. As you might know, if you have also watched our previous videos, we really answer all your comments. Of course, the ones that are in a more, let's say, complicated manner and which will need further investigation, we will link you our consultation link. But in those cases, a legal consultation will be needed. So thank you for watching our video. Do not forget to give us a big like and subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed our content, and follow us on social media, because we have a lot more interesting things coming up about Romanian law, immigration law and commercial law. Have a lovely day and see you soon. Bye bye.